This is the Horse Radio Network.
This is episode 82 of the Healthy Critters Radio on Horse Radio Network. Healthy Critters Radio is brought to you by BioStar US. Find them online at biostarus.com.
On today's show, we discussed reading labels on feed and supplements. The breed of the show is the Chinchilla. In Critter Nutrition, we address building top line. And in Coffee Clatch, we talk about canine cleverness. Listen in. So we're here with Glenn today. Glenn, our producer. Normally it's Jennifer, but...
it's Mr. Jennifer to
That's
us.
right. I'm the other half.
The other half. Who actually started with us, remember?
Yes. And then he threw us... He said, "Oh my God, I cannot deal with them.
And then we got the goddess.
Well, you got the smarter half. I am just a horse husband after all.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true.
Hey, can I put a quick plug in for something?
Sure.
We're doing a second Horse Lovers Cruise next February. We had 40 of our listeners go on the first one.
Cool.
So next February, we're leaving out of Tampa. We're going on Royal Caribbean again. This is the brilliance of the seas. We're doing 5 nights out of Tampa, and we're going to hit Key West because everybody loved Key West and wanted to go back. And then we're also going to go to Cozumel, and then we also have 2 sea days on this cruise. And we do a lot of things. We have a game show that we do for our group. We all eat dinner together every night. It really is. We get together several times. We have a guys' night and a ladies' night where all the horse husbands get to, shed their wives and not talk about horses for hours. So, and the wives all go play horsey games and drink a lot. We had a blast last time we were together, and we thought, well, we got to do it again.
Awesome.
We've already sold, I think she said 12 or 15 cabins, and we just announced it like 2 weeks ago. So if you go to horseloverscruise.com, it has all the details. First-time cruisers, if you've been apprehensive about doing a cruise, this is the way to do it. Go with the group. It's a lot of fun. We guide you through everything. We have meetings, and we help you all along the way. So we deal with MEI Travel, and Michelle is our travel agent. She went along the last time, and we had fun having her along. She's going to probably go along again this time. So we're looking to, have 40 to 60 people, and we talk about horses, but we don't actually see any horses. And so,
except seahorses.
That's right.
Except seahorses. I was going to say some horse's ass, but I just wasn't going to. Yeah, you just don't know.
There are apparently in Cozumel there's a horseback ride, but when I looked at pictures of the horses, and I don't think we want to endorse that. Actually,
I was going to probably yeah.
No, we did it when we were on the last cruise, but the horses were well taken care of, and we had researched it ahead of time. And they did a good job of taking care of the horses, but I can't vouch for this one. I don't know just from what I'm seeing, so we're not probably going to do that. But anyway, we do have a good time, and it's a lot of fun, so check it out. One of the things that we're doing different this year is everybody usually comes in a day before because you never want to arrive the morning of the cruise on an airplane because if you're late, you're screwed. So you missed the boat. But the day before, we're going to be in Tampa. You guys will be interested in this. We're going to Big Cat Rescue in the morning the day before we head out. I don't know if you guys have been there, but Big Cat Rescue is one of the largest rescue organizations for cats of all kinds, and I don't mean your little house cats. They have all kinds of lions and tigers, and what happens is when they rescue them, they come there to live for life. They take care of them until they die. So they were going to do that. It's a fascinating place. We saw it. We got a private tour, and we did the Finding Florida episode there. And then in the afternoon, we're all going to have lunch together, and then in the afternoon, we're going to head over by bus to the Tampa Aquarium, which is right beside where the ship boards.
That's convenient.
So we're going to do Tampa Aquarium, then we're all going out to dinner in Tampa that night, staying overnight, and then heading out. So we're actually adding a day to it by doing all of these events the day before, which should be a lot of fun for animal lovers, right, of all kinds. So that's it. It's horseloverscruise.com. You get all the details, and you can write to Michelle with any other questions.
Sounds like a ton of fun.
It is a lot of fun. It is a lot of fun.
Well, we had a ton of fun this past
weekend. What'd you do?
We did.
We were at the Challenge of the Americas in Wellington that raises money for breast cancer research. this is a big annual event. This is sort of the dressage community's big philanthropic effort as a group. I was a choreographer for one of the quadrilles, and they also needed sort of like an exhibition act. And I came up with this idea that I had done many, many years ago of putting two people in a horse costume and having them demonstrate dressage movements for
basically yet again doing some sort of musical freestyle or
sounded classy.
Or something.
Yeah.
And I
were you one of those people, Patty?
No,
well,
she was my co-host. So
yes.
It was sponsored by Healthy Critters Radio on the Horse Radio Network.
Oh wow.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
So we got to demonstrate our dressage proficiency.
I have to tell you, I was because in true Tiggy form, she's always like, Patty P, just ad-lib it. You're good. And being the performance monkey that I will be, I was just like, I don't know, Tig. And I have to tell you, what was so fun about it was there was two kids from Lennon Gray's program, and they did a terrific job. I don't even know what their names were, but one girl was leaning over, hanging on to the other girl, and they and Tigger had an opportunity to do a little practice with them, right?
Yeah, two times.
Yeah, and and
I had to
Tigger
teach them how to do tempies.
It was just adorable, and I got so much feedback because a lot of people didn't know I was coming to Wellington, and then I'm standing in the middle with Tigger doing this whole thing. And Tigger, what is our new name? What is it?
We are the long and short
of it. Because Tigger standing next to me is like looking at
a midget.
Well, it's like looking at a praying mantis.
Yeah, you got about 4 feet on her.
Yeah, I do. She's tall in stature. I mean, I'm just so anyway. But it was just a lot of fun, and the kids did a great job, and I think that the audience really enjoyed it. And of course, I didn't find out till after I walked out that it was being live streamed, so it wasn't like I could like do it and then go, okay, Tigger, you talked me into something again, and then we get no. I had clients in Texas going, oh, I shared it with our whole clinic group. But but the good news in that was it made them aware of the cause, and so it was, and it looked. I think Tigger, didn't you tell me that general admission was completely sold out?
Sold out for the first time ever.
Wow.
Yeah, so that was exciting, and
they want us back, Patty.
Yeah, I know, and it was
next year to do Shiny Moment again.
Mm-hmm. And it was great.
It's helpful for people in the audience who don't know that much about dressage to actually see the movements done by this funny two people in a horse.
Yeah, it was.
But it makes it really simple.
Yes.
This is a half pass. This is a pirouette. This is
in case there's somebody out in the crowd that doesn't know, because that was the thing that was so cool. But the other thing that the
funny thing was, and I had practiced this with the girls, was I thought for humor's sake, they could do a pirouette, and then if I said, lower your haunches, then they the girl behind immediately sat down, and then they pirouetted again, and you could hear the audience, especially of dressage people who know that that's important, just laughing.
Oh yeah, no,
it was they great thought fun. That was so funny.
No, it was really. I just will tell you, Glenn, I get many calls from Tigger going, "Hey, I've got this idea," and I always pull over.
That sounded like a good advertisement for the show too.
It was great, and we had a full page in the program.
Yep.
But I'm going to say this: my quadrille won.
Oh, yay.
Sure. Okay. And the other thing that I was going to plug too, because this is the first time it happened, correct me if I'm wrong, Tigger, is that Tigger also had a jumping quadrille. It was Ian Miller's, the famous Ian Miller, who I got 3 seconds to talk to and am totally a fan. One of the kindest people I've ever met in the business, and just told in the 10 minutes I talked to him, he told me stories about Reiner Klemke and he was amusing and wonderful, and he was so proud of his group, and that was a lot of fun, and that's how the whole program started with Tigger's jumping quadrille, and that was a huge hit.
Yeah.
That was a huge hit. So she got these jumpers to go in there, and they did leg yields, and they extended, and they jumped over jump. It was just awesome. So it was a really great evening, and it was wonderful to be a part of such a great cause, and to be with the long and short of it with.
and I have to say that my quadrille, which went last, was to Pirates of the Caribbean. And for anyone who knows this dressage rider, Jim Coford,
yes,
and his Frisian paint Dutch driving horse mare, they nailed it. He played Jack Sparrow.
And, that's something we should put up on our page, is that ending, the ending part of this where he comes up passaging after,
and then piafs to right dead onto the beat of the music,
and lifts his sword, and it was just awesome. It was awesome. Well done, Tigger. And what a great group of people. Obviously really practiced and were just awesome. They were outstanding. It was wonderful to be a part of it.
And that, I've always said we got to make horse shows more entertaining. We have to also entertain people. If we want mainstream people to come out, people who are not horse people, we've got to entertain them.
Exactly.
Especially in Wellington, too, because it's,
Well, and we did the full pirate costume. I mean, they were all, I won't say authentic from the, 18th century, but, pretty good pirate costumes, and we had wench costumes, and so it was taking dressage still with a focus on the technical, but making it more fun. And
please tell me that at the end the ship came up out of the bottom of the sand and
yeah, we pressed a button and that happened, Glenn. Yeah, it was.
Tigger's that good.
It was a huge hit.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, even though this has nothing to do with pirates and the quadrille and raising money for breast cancer research, I am going to seg into the fact that it's important to read the label on feed and supplements, but not everybody does. And
some people marry into that.
Some people have people who do it for them.
Yeah.
But it's
I highly recommend marrying a horsewife. it's the way to go. Then you don't have to worry about that stuff. Mm-hmm. Saying it's an option.
So let's move on and talk about reading labels on feed and supplements. So at Roundtable, we are discussing, are you a label reader of feed and supplements? And the reason we're asking this question is that some people are avid label readers, some people are partial label readers, and some people like Glenn don't read the labels at all.
He
has people to read the labels for him.
It's good to be the boss.
Awesome, actually. Yeah. Uh-huh. Well, you know what? You may have your wife, but I have Tigger.
There you go.
So, Glenn, if you didn't have Jennifer
mm-hmm.
and you walked into a feed store for your horse, would you read the ingredients or would you kind of go on what the feed store tells you?
I would do neither, to be honest. I would have researched from someone else before I walked in the door. Because I'll tell you what, I have been in many feed stores, and there's a lot of bottles. And they all claim to be the best thing ever. So, and as a horse husband, we're just not allowed to make those decisions. So I would have asked or found
that decision.
What's that?
Would you like to?
No, not in 100
Jennifer
years.
Said no.
No.
Oh,
no.
Okay.
No. If something ever happened to Jennifer, I would have to get a new one.
you could use Tigger. I'm telling you, let me just tell you something about Tigger. If you say, "Hey Tiggs, I'm having a problem with this ingredient," man, it's almost like her hair goes up. It's like she gets plugged into a wall. She's got to help.
And that is true. The listeners too. I've heard from many who've talked to Tigger. So yeah, let's not overlook that. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
So, Patty, are you a label reader?
Well, yes, I am a label reader, and I'm not going to keep, crooning you, but I mean, I've always, years ago, I needed to understand what was in the feed before we did complete feeds. Not that I'm going to date myself, because I'm 27. So like say 5 years ago, I had a horse years ago that I needed to actually make my own feed for. And I learned a lot of stuff then that I realized now was very good for the times, but, still, there's so much more to learn. And I mean, and all joking aside, of course, I always try to consult you on most of what I do, which is hard for a lot of people if they're in a boarding situation, because there's a lot of things that just get, you have to do this, or this, but you still can read the labels. And that's, always that. I think that's anybody who doesn't own their own. As a trainer, it's always an issue of making it easy. In fact, just today at lunch, we feed 3 times a day, 3 to 4 times a day. And it's just like listening to everybody go through the different things of what people are eating at lunch. And so I've always been such a whole food advocate of stuff because it makes it a little bit more simple. But the one thing that I steer away from, number one thing that I steer away from with any feed is I just don't ever want to see corn in it. Because I know the things that it can do. So yeah, I mean, I read the labels, but I'm going to ask you, which is sort of a sheepish, kind of cop out.
Now, do you read labels on dog food? Do you read labels on human food?
I am probably, yes, I do all 3. I would say when it comes to human food, I tend to, I really am far more, I'm much more strict in many ways with human food because it's my kids and I'm looking at them, and I really feed whole foods. I really try to feed whole foods. I don't like I've never been, I was just actually visiting my daughter in Wellington, and she was telling her mother-in-law, yeah, we never had sugar cereal. We never had soda. I'm like, oh my gosh, I was such a good mom. You know what I mean? Holy crap. So I've always been a big thing about that. I've always steered away from sugars, and I think in our family, the biggest weakness is potato chips. You know what I mean? But other than that, as you know, Peter's a big foodie, and he is always cooking things that come from the earth. So tons of things that can do better. And I think that's the hardest thing about reading labels is that I get a little overwhelmed because sometimes there's so much of a convenience factor, which you and I have talked about with the dogs. Mm-hmm. I would love to be able to feed a little bit more of a raw food diet. And there's definitely ways to do that, but making it convenient. And there are ways to do it. So I'm not saying that it's hard. It's harder in some ways, but it's beneficial in the long run, which of course, you know that. I mean, you travel and you still do it.
Yeah. The interesting thing about what you said is I am absolutely rabid about reading ingredients on horse supplements, horse feed, dog food, dog supplements, but not so much on the human side. I mean, there are things that I look for, USDA certified organic. I'm not expecting to read a label when I'm, picking up fresh vegetables at the farm.
Right.
But I find myself sometimes being lazy and going, especially if I'm in Whole Foods and they have a lot of, pre-made food that you can buy, like rice, for instance.
Right.
It's already cooked. For me, it's like, wow, that's great. Do you think that I even stop to go, okay, is this non-GMO rice? Is this, where is it grown? All the things I would ask for the dog,
or a horse or a dog.
Yeah. So,
but those are your children.
Yeah.
So
I have many, it seems, because I'm more passionate about that, and more sort of on it. And then I'm a little bit lazy for myself. So if you're a label reader out there, let us know on
share your story.
healthycrittersradio.com. And if you've got somebody like Glenn does, let us know. There's probably a lot of you out there. And if you'd like to transition from having a person that does all the work to wanting to learn more yourself, we're here to help you on Healthy Critters Radio.
Yeah. Amen.
Cut. So now we're going to bring Hedwig on. Hedwig, as you know, is our talking Pomeranian.
And my arch enemy.
And yes, Glenn's arch enemy.
And Patty and person who shall not be named due to being evil.
Oh, that would be Glenn.
Yeah.
You mean Glenn?
Hi, Hedwig. So lovely to speak to you again.
Yes, I look forward to our occasional chat.
I thought of you the other day, Hedwig. I was over at Live Oak International, which is like the largest driving competition. And they had a greyhound. They had a bunch of greyhounds there. Do you know what a greyhound is, Hedwig?
Yes, I do, Glenn. I am not stupid.
Okay. I know they run much faster than you and bark a lot less. So one of them there had a muzzle on, and I thought that would be perfect for you and every Pomeranian on the planet.
Glenn,
What?
that recently I was in a room with a man who was talking a lot. And I was reminded of you. And then I saw a roll of duct tape. And I thought, my goodness, if you applied the duct tape to the man who was talking, he would talk less.
Oh.
You know, it is lovely. We were talking to the greyhound people, and one of the things that came up is almost every greyhound is quiet. They don't bark. It's the best thing. Best dog in the world is a greyhound because of that. And then we got to discussing how Pomeranians never shut up, ever. They just bark.
Then, so far, only you have not shut up.
We look forward to the once or twice a year Glenn
banter.
Yes. Next time will be the Christmas show.
Right. Because I'm gonna put a muzzle on you both and pull you back to your crates and your corners. And I'm gonna give you cheese, Hedwig.
And
I like cheese too.
Yeah. Okay.
Bye, Hedwig. See you at Christmas.
Bye, Hetty. Bye.
I just finished my.
Try not to die or anything.
Okay. I was just on Amazon and I ordered the muzzle. I'm having it shipped. Okay.
You know there are these special collars that deliver electric shocks whenever I press a button.
And now it's time for the breed of the show.
And we're now at Critter Corner, and Patty is going to tell us all about chinchillas, which I have always really liked.
Well,
not to wear, but
yes.
as fun little pets. So I can't wait to find out more about them.
Well, I'm not going to lie. I've often contemplated about getting one.
Of course you have.
Of course I have. But I haven't. But it's so funny because when you start doing a little bit of research about them, like I had never really thought about, I knew they had a very dense coat. They have, just so y'all know, the densest coat of all fur mammals on land that live on land. Pretty cool to know.
Don't they look like little bunny rabbits almost?
Well, okay, so good point. They actually look like large ground squirrels, which I thought was I was like, oh yeah, I get that. But their tail adds 5 to 6 inches. So they're 10 to 14 inches long. But their tail adds even more than that. And there's 2 different varieties, and I'm not even going to begin to tell you how to say them. because I tried to, but there's one variety that's a little bit larger, which is I think the most common one that you'll probably see in a pet store or whatever. And then there's a smaller version. There's two species, but they, like I said, they're referred to as a like kind of a ground squirrel. So imagine a really fat squirrel with a long tail, 5 to 6 inches, and put that in a cage and put it in your house. They're very active and playful. They're very gentle with handling at a young age. And I think that a lot of mistakes, as always with pet shops, they can get them a little too young. And if that ends up being the case, if you end up, you have to be just very careful, like you do with any animal. The more you handle them, the tamer they become. Having said that, they like to roam rather than be held. So they like to climb kind of all over you rather than you hold them and pet them, right? So
they're ferret-like.
A little bit, yeah. They don't like to be restrained. And it's not that they won't be affectionate. It's just that you have to kind of build up to that, especially if you have a young one or an older one that hasn't been handled. So you have to be very careful about that.
Do they bite?
I didn't see one thing that said they would bite. So I'm going to say, I'm sure they possibly can. I
knew somebody that had them, and they were really high strung though.
Well, okay, so that's interesting because they say they're very active and playful.
Yeah, that they have high
and
energy.
They're largely nocturnal, and they're called. I'm going to try to do this word justice. Crepuscular, which means that their activity peaks at dawn and at dusk.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you've got to kind of deal with that. That's kind of a thing with that. So, because of that, as far as, how you would have them in your apartment or whatever, you have to have a fairly roomy cage, because they're very active, because they're very playful. You should have sort of like shelves or a ladder or something for them to climb because they like to go up and down at dawn and at dusk, which is not bad at night, but it's not going to be good if you don't get up early.
Yeah.
So 2 interesting things about how to keep them. One, they, a lot of crates, even chinchilla cages have wire floors, and they say, every place that I was researching about them, they said you really need to make it a solid wood floor, and it must have to do with the structure of their feet and breaking down, the strength in their feet. Other sort of interesting things. So they're very active and playful, but you have to be very aware of the temperature because they overheat because of the density of their coat. Right. So you kind of have to be careful about that. Not so much, them being too cold, but again, because their coat's pretty dense. Okay, so a little bit about them, and then I'm going to lead into some of the care. So their lifespan, 15 to 22 years, which I was
wow.
Like, yeah, right? So if you get one that's young, you're looking at quite a commitment there. So, and I think there's quite a large rescue with them, but that it's quite a large commitment. Because their coats are so dense, they do something that is called a dust bath. And it's something that you buy from a chinchilla store. I'm kidding. You can go to probably PetSmart, and you don't ever want to wash them because of the density of their coat. Right, because they won't really dry. I mean, they're really, really dense. And this dust bath is just imagine a sort of like a dish pan where you would wash dishes, old-fashioned dishes, kind of thing. And you do about 2 inches of this dust bath where they'll roll in it, and it gets into their coat and gets down to their skin and helps lift the oils and gets scales off, if they're getting dry. And depending on the time of year, you want to do it at the minimum, 2 times a week. And it's something that the chinchilla will do on their own. It's not like you've got to get in there and roll it around like a sausage. They do it on their own. And it just helps penetrate the coat in the skin. It absorbs all the oil and dirt and, keeps them looking beautiful and lustrous. They're several different colors. I think the most common color is what they call super violet, that looks sort of like that sapphire-y grayish color. And there's a beige and an ebony, and I think there's probably some other colors, but I think the most common one is what they call this super violet. So it in as far as them being a great apartment pet, I think they're a good apartment pet, but they are not for everybody. I had read over and over again they are probably not good for young children, because young children like to see something that fluffy and adorable and they want to hold it, and because chinchillas like to roam, that's not really the smartest setup. So they said, they're basically low maintenance, but because they're not for everybody, you need to read and research about it. And they also suggest really, of course, pet stores are always trying to make a profit. There are certain breeders that you can, obviously go to, which would probably make more sense, because they're not going to take them from their mothers to young, because I guess if you take them under 3 to 5 months, somewhere in that range, it's way too soon for them to leave their mom. So that can end up with things down the road, which again, Glenn maybe gets into them biting and whatnot. But, I think that they're kind of like your basic pet that you would have in your home. They have a specific diet. They have to, there's chinchilla food that you can get from a pet store, a lot of good roughage, like grass hay and pellets that are made for them. But for the most part, they probably would make a great apartment pet, but probably not for young. So they look, and they said they're just really interactive, and they make cute noises. So I don't know, maybe reconsider.
And I from what I understood too, they like friends. They're very social. Yeah.
Yes. Which doesn't help with the, again, I don't know how to say that word that I said, creep secular. I'm sure a chinchilla person's hitting their head going, oh my God. And I apologize. But it was a word I had never heard of, and it wasn't a word that Tigger said, so I was feeling kind of good about myself. But I would think with a friend at dawn or at dusk, that would probably make it better or worse.
Yeah, just get some roosters and you can have the whole place upset.
That's right. There you go. You can have the whole farm. But anyway, I think they're adorable. So, I don't know, Tiggs. Maybe our next venture, huh? So we are now at one of the highlights of our program with Critter Nutrition with Tigger. Take it away, Tiggy Bird.
Thanks. Today we're going to direct our focus to building top line.
Yay.
Yeah. One of the most common issues with our horses is that of the top line. And the muscles over the top of the neck, back, and hindquarters are, to our eyes, what reflect athleticism and a healthy appearance. One of the basic factors we cannot control is genetics. Some horses are born with strong back, neck, and hindquarter muscles, can live in a field and have a good top line, while others can be fed pounds of feed and added supplements and still not have the top line the owner or trainer desires. The process of building muscles up also includes the process of muscle breakdown. Stand ringside at any CDI or CSIO, and you will see top dressage and jumpers who don't have wow factor top lines. It can be much more challenging to add top line to a very fit horse than one that is not so fit. Top line can be developed with specific nutrition. Protein, providing the essential amino acids and the branched chain amino acids. Antioxidants such as vitamin E, minerals such as selenium, combined with exercise including hill work and training that focuses on the correct use of back, neck, and hindquarters. Top line can also be affected by ill-fitting saddles, weight loss, poor shoeing, EPM, EPSM, PSSM, Cushing's disease, and Lyme's disease. Older horses can lose their top lines as part of the aging process. Protein is made up of chains of amino acids, which are absorbed from the small intestine. 20 different amino acids are needed for protein synthesis. However, 10 of these amino acids are known as essential amino acids because they must be supplied to the horse through the diet. These amino acids come from quality protein sources like alfalfa, whey, hemp, peas, and eggs that provide all the essential amino acids, including lysine and the branched chain. Feeds that are overprocessed can reduce the biological value of protein and may not be well absorbed by the horse. Some feeds and supplements contain soy as a quality protein source. There are issues to be aware of when using soy as a source of protein. Soy phytogesterins can disrupt endocrine function. Almost all the soy used for horses and livestock is genetically modified to withstand being sprayed with glyphosate. According to Monsanto's own research, Roundup Ready soybeans contain 29% less choline and 27% more of the trypsin inhibitor than conventional soybeans. Trypsin inhibitors can interfere with protein digestion. Understanding whey protein. Whey protein from cow's milk comes in various forms: isolate, concentrate, and hydrolyzed. One of the most bioavailable forms of whey protein is undenatured whey protein concentrate. This means that the whey has undergone minimal processing, as in single flash pasteurization, that does not require high heat. This method ensures that the active peptides, immunoglobulins, and serum albumin are intact as they would be in raw milk. Undenatured whey protein has twice the amount of individual branched-chain amino acids as peas or highly processed whey protein. This is especially important in the case of the amino acid leucine, which plays a vital role in reducing muscle breakdown. If you are feeding your horse a supplement with whey protein, you may want to check with the company to see if the whey that they purchase from comes from cows that are grass-fed, RBGH-free, and antibiotic-free. The role of leucine. The amino acid leucine plays important roles in the synthesis of new muscle, increased muscle, and muscle breakdown. A metabolite of leucine called HMB inhibits muscle breakdown. Whey protein is one of the richest sources of this important amino acid. Hemp, egg, and pea protein. These three protein sources provide the essential amino acids, including lysine and the branched chain. Like other whole food protein sources such as alfalfa, they also provide other nutritional components. Hemp provides edesin and albumin proteins, as well as fiber and key minerals such as zinc and magnesium. Egg protein is high in sulfur-containing amino acids, such as methionine, which plays a critical role in cell metabolism and protein synthesis. Pasteurized whole egg protein ensures that biotin will not be depleted. Pea protein is a rich source of arginine, the amino acid that stimulates nitric oxide, and is the precursor of creatine to help the maintenance of ATP for more muscle power. The importance of vitamin E. Vitamin E is a powerful antioxidant, which provides a protective benefit to muscles because it helps recovery from oxidative stress. Good sources of vitamin E include camelina oil, almonds, and sunflower seeds. The role of selenium. Selenium is important for its role in maintaining muscle health through its antioxidant activity. Selenium is a component of the enzyme glutathione peroxidase, which protects lipid membranes. On the human side, trends in bodybuilding and high-performance athletes are focused on using a variety of protein sources, including whey, eggs, peas, and hemp, because these different proteins are digested at different rates in the body. For instance, whey protein is a fast-digesting protein source, while hemp and alfalfa are a slower digesting protein due to the fiber content. Taking time. Building and maintaining top line takes time. Consider using a variety of protein sources like alfalfa pellets with BioStar's Rebound or BioStar's Locomotion to provide additional protein sources for muscle building and slowing muscle breakdown. Pull blood on your horse at least once a year to check selenium and vitamin E levels. Make sure there is a variety of work in your training: cavaletti, hill work, transitions, walking on different surfaces, hard, soft, and grass will help muscles as well as ligaments and tendons.
Real horses and real dogs are healthier, perform better, and recover more quickly on real food. That's why BioStar empowers horse and canine owners with 100% whole food nutrition, supplements, and feeding programs. BioStar products are made at their own certified non-GMO facility in Gordonsville, Virginia, using real food ingredients that are raw, freeze-dried, or dehydrated, never cooked, and are free from artificial flavors, colors, soy, corn, wheat, and molasses. The BioStar product line includes a wide range of whole food, horse and dog supplements, treats, and unique artisan poultices that embrace the ancient and traditional uses of clay and plants. Visit biostarus.com today and learn about whole foods and canine and equine nutrition so you can make the best decisions about the care and health of your horses and dogs. That's biostarus.com. Whole food nutrition the way nature intended.
And now we've arrived at Coffee Clatch. And we're going to talk about canine cleverness, how dogs outsmart us. And
or
I
run
bring
your
this
life.
up because, my dogs seem to outsmart me on a regular basis.
Yeah.
They think in a way that is different. And I know not all breeds are this way, but I think dogs innately, because they've survived over thousands and thousands of years with humankind, they've developed a cleverness. Some might call it sneaky.
Persuasive.
Yes. They definitely can get us to do what they want us to do.
Mm-hmm.
But it's the way they work things out.
So you obviously, something prompted this.
So I have a tennis ball. I have lots of tennis balls. My dogs really like to play with them and bring them back, and it's a fun game. But I was done playing. So I take the ball and I put it on the top of a bureau. And I turn around, and not 5 seconds later, Wookie is standing on her hind feet, and she's tilted her head, and she's trying to grab the ball. So I go, okay, I'll fix this. So I move the ball back farther, turn around, start off, go off to do something. And I come back, and that little clever little dog was standing on her back legs and had extended a paw so far that she was pulling it, rolling it towards her mouth so that it dropped into her mouth and she got it.
Willing it her way.
Yes, the power of the force.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's the Wookster, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that made me start realizing all the other clever things. I mean, at the dog park, you see dogs outsmart their owners on a regular basis.
And you think, oh, that doesn't happen to me. And then you take a second, you go, oh, wow.
That just did happen to me.
Yeah, that happened. Yeah. Well, especially when you have smarter breeds, too. I think that happens a lot.
No, you know what? I actually, after today at the dog park, I think some of the breeds that are lesser known for their intelligence actually might have a high degree of cleverness. I'm talking about the ones that the owner calls 50 times and they're staring off into space. Now, they hear well, but they're clever enough to know that the human is going to get hoarse and is going to eventually walk over and put the leash on.
Right.
Why should I have to move? Why should I, exert that much energy?
We need to stop talking about Hedwig, or I'm going to get in trouble again.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, let's just say that dog is smart.
That dog is wicked smart.
That dog is wicked smart. No, it's amazing. I think the best example I can give of this is that I have a new Aussie puppy. He's not brand new, but he's incredibly smart. And I am very big on recall more than anything else.
Yeah.
And when I travel back to Texas twice a month, and I have to bring my barn coat, which I try to wash the night before when I go, because I don't want to get on the plane and have people go, oh my gosh, you're wearing that and you smell. And I have to take out all these dog biscuits. Point of the story is that it's like two things happen to me. So I'll be calling my dogs over and I'll put my hand in my pocket and and I don't know how they know this because they're far enough away between me having a hot dog or some sort of liver snack versus a stupid little biscuit. Or let's just take this one step further. Or when I really don't have a biscuit and there's just a crumb and there's something that I do in my body language that makes them go, yeah, not worth it. It's not worth it. I am not running over. But I'll tell you what, if I put my hand and I try to always do it like I've got a hot dog, because they're going to come running over. It doesn't work. It just doesn't. And that to me is scary. Because I realize that they're paying attention to, and I don't know, someone would argue, oh, it's the smell, it's the way you're going about it. And you may be right, but that's scary because they're a good distance away. Today, I didn't think I had a biscuit in my right. I tend to always go to my right, and my sweet little puppy Catch was literally looking off into the distance like. I don't know. The chuck wagon was coming. I don't know. But I'm like, catch here, catch, like going through this. And then finally, I'm putting my hand in my pocket. So now I'm putting my hand in my pocket and stamping because I'm sure if I stamp, he's going to turn around and look at me. And, but fortunately, one of the other dogs came and he came over and then he was like, oh, and the minute he saw my hand in the pocket, he comes running over. Anyway, as far as them, dogs being clever and, they operate on a whole different level, especially when you have more than one. Glenn, do you have that with your dog?
Greyhounds are a little different. Because we've had greyhounds for so long that they're just a little bit different in that they are the most docile dogs. So, they just, now she's blind. So when she hears anything that sounds like a chip bag, because I might give her some, anything that sounds like that, she's right there. But otherwise, she doesn't get up. She doesn't get up. She just, and she gets around pretty good around the house. But a chip bag, she will get up for. But anything else, she doesn't care. But she does like chips. And I do too.
Well, I mean, I don't blame her. I love me a chip.
Yeah, I do too.
It's just so funny.
I think that we as human beings, we have really underestimated dogs for a millennia.
Well, they prove that to us every day with all the stories we see, right? Where they save the burning building and all that stuff. Yeah. And
I think even when it comes to eating, I hear from owners about, these really picky dogs. And I am pretty convinced, while there are some dogs that certainly have their preferences as to what they like to eat, I think it's a control issue. I think they go, yeah, well, yesterday I got, ground beef and pumpkin, and today you're giving me this kibble, and forget it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, horses do that too, right? They get the alfalfa, sure. And then you try and give them coastal, and they're not interested. You're right. I mean, they're not going to eat it for 2 days till they figure out there's nothing else. So, yeah.
Good point.
I'm that way actually too.
You don't. I
don't like coastal. Yeah, I do.
Yeah. Or the hamburger and pumpkin over the kibble Jen feeds you.
Anything over salad. That's correct.
Well, if you have a clever canine story, please let us know on healthycrittersradio.com.
Thanks for listening, everyone, and thanks to our sponsor, BioStar US. You can find them online at biostarus.com.
Get the Horse Radio Network phone app on iOS or Android by searching for Horse Radio Network in the App Store. It's free and easy to use.
For details about today's show, go to healthycrittersradio.com, where you can find links, photos, and more information about our guests.
As always, we love your feedback. Please follow us on Facebook under Healthy Critters Radio.
Be sure to visit all the great shows on Horse Radio Network at horseradionetwork.com.